should people kind of, when we're receiving
Oh, yeah.
channeled messages as the audience, I suppose, more so than the channeler, but even so, the channeler, sometimes we receive channeled messages for us as well. Should we think of them as instructions, almost as that guidance that comes, that supports us on our journey, or is it just information that we can hear and then ignore? Like, does it impact our immediate life, or the I know it's meant to help us, but sometimes I feel like we still have a choice as to how our life plays out. So let's say that the guidance comes and says, "Do you know what? There's an opportunity that's going to be presented on your path, but it might not be the best one if you're willing to wait." But then you can exert your free will and take that opportunity and see what happens. And then once the next opportunity comes along, you'll be like, "Ah, that message told me that opportunity is not going to be as good as the second one, but I was stubborn and I wanted to try it out."
So free will.
Mhm.
That's the poisonous gift in
Yep.
some ways, because yes, it means we can do what we want, but at the same time, I just speak about myself, my experience and what's happening for me. I prefer to align my will to the divine will and to stick with that, because my free will gets me into way too many problems and real headspace stuff that I really don't need. And so yes, we have free will, but for me, I look at it as a bit of a poisonous gift. I probably will evolve out of that maybe one day. I do really believe freedom, on the other hand, is the ultimate. I actually see it as more ultimate than love, which everyone talks about as love being the main thing. But if we give freedom to everyone, we are actually coming from love. And I do really believe freedom is really important. So there's a bit this thing of not liking free will, but liking freedom. In regards to instructions, yes, they are instructions. Well, from my personal experience, they are instructions. I can give you an example of one time when a person came off the street to see me, and he was in tie and a suit. And during the session, like, he came for some reflexology. During the session, I was doing his feet, and then I'm hearing this message saying, "You've got to tell him he's a Pleiadian commander." I was like, oh no! Like, I was having this debate with the what I was chanting. It was like, no way. Do you see this guy? He's straight as. All session, you've got to tell him he's a Pleiadian commander. And I ended up saying, look, I don't know how you'll take this message, but I'm being told to tell you that you're a Pleiadian commander. And his response was, yeah, I know that. All this time I had been going, oh no, please, no, I'm going to be treated like a mad woman again. And when he said, yeah, I know that. So I think you have to, I think that when you become strong enough to you can discern, but discernment is tricky as well, because what is making you discern something? Are you using your mind? And in that case, if you're using your mind, is that a good thing? Or are you filtering the information? Or do you just become a conduit? And it's sort of like, it's a tricky question to answer, because you do see, like, I lived in communities and intentional communities where you saw all sorts of people, very new earth people. Actually, they were living the new earth. I feel like I was living the new earth 20-30 years ago, and now I'm not living the new earth as much as I was back then. But you saw these other people who were conduits of light, but that had taken it to such an extreme that they were just misfits in society. But those misfits are like when you think of Jesus, you know, he was regarded as a misfit. So was Buddha. He had a begging bowl with him. Like he was typical of the misfit. But the Messiah complex, you have to be very careful about that as well, of not having that imitating the Messiah when that might not necessarily be your role as well.